Classroom concert series that I started on YouTube. And like last time, I'll be playing some pieces on my various recorders, and we have some really exciting pieces selected for this evening. And before we get started, I know this is kind of a late stream, but it's going to be kind of the video for like the whole couple of days until we make the next installment of this series. Just want to give a big shout out since it is Father's Day and Father's Day weekend. Thank you so much, Dad and Lolos, for everything. And happy Father's Day to all the dads and all the father figures and all the grandpas out there. Also, it is the weekend of Flag Day, so thank you so much to our military and our veterans who are always fighting and protecting our freedoms. Regardless of all the challenges that are coming our way, we are still standing for democracy and also helping out the little guy as best as we can. So thank you so much to all the veterans and all the service members and their family, as well as all the people who are continuing to use their voices for freedom and the uplifting of everyone around them in our country. Alrighty, so with that being said, I do want to play, just kind of segue into first selection for tonight. I know the title says How to Train Your Dragon and Baroque Dances by Bach. We're actually going to do a quick performance of the national anthem. That being said, it's the weekend of Flag Day, and just an honor for all the veterans and stuff. So this is the Star Spangled Banner. So that was the U.S. National Anthem in honor of Flag Day weekend. Flag Day was, of course, Saturday, and there's a lot of pomp and circumstance with all the different voices and people standing up for freedom and protection and the livelihood for everyone around them in their country. So I just wanted to give a quick ode to that. Alrighty, so first piece in our scheduled program will be one of the dance movements from Bach's cello suite. So we're going to be playing the Gigue from Bach's cello suite number 1. This is the Bach cello suite that has the famous prelude in it that kind of goes like this. So that very famous line there in the cello suite prelude, this is going to be the last movement of that same cello suite. This is going to be a jig. So a jig is kind of this very bouncy, kind of uplifting and energetic dance that usually has a triplet rhythm. So it's in a very fast 1 2 3 4 5 6, 1 2 3 4 5 6, and then there's that kind of bouncy triplet feel to it. Um, Jigs in the Baroque period come from the British Isles, so the word jig does sound like Irish jig, and those are very similar to each other in a sense. Um, the jig also follows this A and then B section that you see, so you'll have a repeat sign halfway through the jig where you would go back to the beginning and play that all over again, and then you go into the B section, which is usually in a related key. Usually it's going to be in the dominant, so if we're playing a jig in G major, the B section will usually be in D major, which is D is the dominant of the tonic G. D is the dominant of G. Yeah. So I think we could go right into it. It's again a very lively kind of bouncy feel. Gigs in the Baroque period, especially by Johann Sebastian Bach, are very contrapuntal. Even though it's going to be for a solo instrument, you still have these ideas um, that are kind of fugue-like. So you could imagine like the harmonies being played by different instruments other than just a single voice. And in some of his other gigs for larger ensembles, like in his orchestral suites, you do see a lot of this contrapuntal writing. Again, Bach was a master of fugal writing where you had the subject and it's passed between the different voices, and then you have all these episodes and harmonies, and they're just building off of this theme. So in the cello suites, you only have the solo cello playing the piece, but you do have these hints every now and then of different voices coming in and either supporting the main melody, or they provide some of the bass line and whatnot. So the cello suites are again a collection of 6 pieces, kind of these compilations of different dances. They follow the pattern of preludes, so like kind of an overall, this is the key of the piece, this is the established mood of this Baroque suite. Then you have an allemande, which is a German dance, and then you have a courant, which is a French like very rapid running dance. Then you would go into a sarabande, which is a very slow, kind of sensual, a little bit of a scandalous, very slow triple meter dance from a mixture of origins. You have it from Spain, you also have it from Central America, and then a little bit of Arabic influence in the sarabande. And then you could end it with a bourri, which is a very fast French duple meter dance. You could also have a minuet every now and then, a French waltz kind of in a triple meter, or you could also have a very fast jig, which is in the first cello suite in G. You have a jig as the final movement, very fast and lively jig. Another fun fact, the cello suites weren't actually written for a standard cello. The 6th cello suite, which is in D major, it requires the usage of scordatura, or a whole separate instrument called the piccolo cello. Also, you could play it on something called a viola da spalla, which is basically, it looks like a baby cello and they play it around their neck. There's a brace and then you would play it like this. Some of those have an extra string on them to accommodate for the higher melodies seen in the 6th cello suite. But we're going to only do the first one here, the jig. Without further ado, here we go. much. That was the Gigue from the cello suite in G major, the first one out of Bach's 6 cello suites. And yeah, so let's go to the next dance movement that we are going to be playing. We are going to actually switch gears and play a dance movement from a different Baroque composer. This will be the minuet from Handel's Water Music. This will be the minuet from the third Water Music. And what's interesting about this minuet, it's actually has 2 parts. So one of them is in G major, the other one is actually in G minor. However, the one in G minor is played first. The third Water Suite is going to be in the key of G major. However, we play the minor version of it first, so it's kind of like spooky at the beginning. The Water Music Suites were written to commemorate King George I. He wanted to throw basically a large show-stopping party, and so he commissioned Handel to go and compose these suites of Baroque dances that would feature new, never-before-seen instruments in the British Isles, such as horns and contrabassoons and all these interesting flute parts and oboe parts and trumpet parts. And they would go on the River Thames on these barges with different musicians, and then they played all the way back and forth from the original docking, and then they went to like Chelsea in the evening. They had dinner. That's when the flute suite, the third one out of the 3 suites, was played, and they would just repeat the music back and forth as they went back and forth on the barge on the River Thames. And I mentioned there are 3 suites. The first one is known as the Horn Suite because you have the hunting horns, you have French horns in there. The second one has trumpets, so it's a very like militaristic, kind of very, very heroic sounding and like regal sounding trumpet parts and horn parts. That's where you get the famous hornpipe from. This is from that second suite, and the third suite is the flute suite because it has recorders and it also has the Western concert flute, but it's a wooden version. It's the original version of it known as the transverse flute. And so let's go to the minuet of the third Handel's Water Music. Alright, so that was the minuet from Handel's Water Music, Suite Number 3 in G major, but that was the G minor part. Again, most of the suite is in G major, but then for the minuet, he goes into G minor, so it sounds a little spooky. Alrighty, so now let's go to some How to Train Your Dragon. The composer for How to Train Your Dragon, John Powell, he pulls a lot from different cultures around the world. You could feel the obvious British Isles and then also Scandinavian influence in his music when he's depicting these fantastical scenes of dragons and Vikings flying together and, battles between the dragons and all these other adventurous elements in his scores for the 3 movies, and then also for this new remake that they're putting out there in the theaters this weekend. But he also draws some unexpected influences. So one of the instruments you could pick out, especially in the cue Forbidden Friendship and in some of the other tracks, you could pick out some Ukrainian whistles, so like the sopelka whistle from Ukraine. Sorry if I messed up the pronunciation there, but this instrument, it's used in some of his tracks, and it has like this very, very, very like woodland quality to it, and it's just very beautiful. He also uses some Middle Eastern instruments as well as some instruments from India and Brazil and Japan. It's a very interesting score to look at and then see all these different global ingredients, basically sonic ingredients that he's just adding to his score. And so for tonight's kind of live stream of music, I thought it would be appropriate to play 2 pieces from the first movie. So the first one will be Romantic Flight, and I'll be playing it on my alto. So here's Romantic Flight from How to Train Your Dragon. Right, so that was the Romantic Flight from How to Train Your Dragon. There was a key change in the middle there that kind of caught me off guard, but not bad for, I think, a first run of that one arrangement that I found of it. Alright, so one more piece from How to Train Your Dragon on the soprano. This will be an abridged version of Test Drive. So this is when Hiccup and Toothless are, again, taking the experience of dragon riding on a test drive. And this one has that electric bass guitar and stuff in it in the track, and then there's also a hurdy-gurdy and some bagpipes, but we'll just be playing the main theme of it and stuff like that, because we don't have all those instruments with us. Okay, so here is Test Drive from How to Train Your Dragon. Alright, so that was Test Drive from How to Train Your Dragon, a little bit of an abridged version, because we don't have all the other orchestral instruments available for the crazy glissandi and stuff like that happen in the rest of that track. Alright, thank you so much for everyone for tuning in to this practice room session. Played some really interesting pieces. A lot more is to come in the future. Please feel free to suggest some pieces that you like me to try out and play on some of my instruments. And yeah, thanks so much for tuning in. Please do something nice for someone, and please take care of each other and have a good one. Take care. See you all soon.